Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Boxing Scene's Top Stories, only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I'm George DeMatteis. Don't forget to scan the QR code and download the ProBox TV app where apps are available. Joining me here on Top Stories, we got the champions. We have Chris Algieri and we have Paulie Malignaggi joining us here on Top Stories. So, what is going on with the International Boxing Federation, the IBF? Now, earlier this year, the IBF stripped undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk and super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez, at the same time enforcing a dreadful rematch between welterweight champion Jerome Boots Ennis and Karen CHUKHADZHIAN, whom Ennis beat by unanimous decision back in January of 2023. And then this past Monday, the IBF informed new 130-pound champion Anthony Kakachi that his Saturday bout in Saudi Arabia against former featherweight champion Josh Warrington is not a title defense, and if Warrington wins, the title becomes vacant. Now, there's talk of Eduardo Nunez getting in line for a title shot. All right, Paulie, is this madness, or are they just showing some cojones in the face of preferential treatment of big-name fighters so that they can get their little 3% sanctioning fee?
You know, with the IBF, they're quickest to strip, I've noticed, and they're they typically, sometimes it can be annoying in that way too. But listen, I wish they could just be a standard that would be set by everybody that would just happen consistently, because even the IBF, they finally stripped Canelo, but it took them a while, So the fact that they stripped Usyk so quickly when they wanted the heavyweight title to be defended against either AJ or Dubois, it makes you think, okay, well, why'd you do this one so quickly and the other one not so quickly, So that's where the double standard comes in. I am all for actually stripping guys when they're not fighting mandatories, if as long as they're keeping the wheel turning. I think what's happening in the 168-pound division is completely disgraceful, that the guy doesn't get stripped. But I think there's a proper way to do it. As far as the Kakachi fight and not sanctioning the Warrington fight, I don't know what the ins and outs of that is right there. But the frustrating thing about the sanctioning bodies in general is there's no consistency. You got guys that at times get stripped for not fighting a mandatory, guys that are not getting stripped for not fighting a mandatory. The problem is that just like in life, boxing is all networking, it's all connections, it's all nepotism, and that's the problem. So if you're with a strong enough team that has a good enough relationship with the sanctioning bodies, some rules will be overlooked at some points. Or if you bring in enough money, money fixes everything. The greed always wins in the end, right? So you can do that, and then suddenly you see rules being bent, being a little bit flexible, or being broken altogether, right? And then there's other times where, maybe somebody doesn't have that nepotism, somebody doesn't have that full connection, and then they get stripped right away. I'm sure, Chris, champ, I'm sure you're going to be talking about that a little bit with your experience as well with the Pacquiao fight after beating Provodnikov. So I wouldn't mind seeing the strictness if it was universal, if it was consistent, and if it was, something that is a standard that is upheld. But because it's not a standard that is upheld, it now creates frustration because it doesn't happen when it's supposed to. But then when it does happen, you get a mix of fans going back and forth saying, well, why did it get upheld here right now? I didn't want to see it get upheld here right now. For example, in the heavyweight division, everybody's mad that the rule got upheld because they wanted to see Fury and Usyk rematch for all the belts. But if that's a rule that is always upheld, you wouldn't have such a complaint. But because the rule is upheld sometimes it's not, sometimes it's upheld later on, sometimes it's upheld right away, all of a sudden you get frustrated. And you see this with all the sanctioning bodies. It's not just the IBF. Like I said, I think the IBF actually is the quickest on the trigger as far as at least trying to make an attempt to make moves. But the problem is politics always endure, and they will always come to the forefront.
Yeah, champ, I agree. You got to look at all of this, right? There's good, there's bad here. The good thing is that, yeah, we're stripping guys now, and we're keeping the wheel turning, as you said, champ. That's a good thing. But then there's some bad things in there as well. You mentioned the Usyk fight. Why are we stripping Usyk at this point, right before he's about to have a rematch for an undisputed heavyweight championship? Oh, because Anthony Joshua is about to fight Daniel Dubois. That's why. And why is this is going to come to fruition later? This Warrington and Kakachi fight, okay, it doesn't get sanctioned. That's fine. It's a non-title fight. Why would it become vacant if CHUKHADZHIAN then loses? That makes no sense. That's not how that works. Fighters used to fight non-title fights all the time back in the day when guys used to fight once a month. They were non-title fights. You'd fight a 10-rounder instead of a 15-rounder. Title doesn't go on the line. You can lose that. It's fine. You don't lose your belt because the belt's not on the line. Why would he then be stripped? Well, it's because of who's waiting in line next. We'll see what that's the thing. Altruism is very rare in the world. It's non-existent in boxing. Morals and ethics do not play a role in boxing. Doing what should be done, doing what's supposed to be done, doing what's right is almost never in the equation. There's always things going on behind the scenes in terms of why this fighter's getting stripped, why this one gets to hold on to it. And know what it is? It's the almighty green. That's what it is. It's the almighty ability to sell tickets and get attention. Maybe CHUKHADZHIAN, who had the big win over Joe Cordina, big dog, underdog, wasn't supposed to win that fight. He's not as marketable as these other guys. So it looks like they're propping up a way for him to actually take a loss, not defend that title, whatever the case may be. Very rare you see a sanctioning body not want to sanction a fight because then they don't get paid, unless they think that he's going to lose, potentially. But yeah, I don't know. It all looks fishy to me. I know, Champ, you're saying like, oh, it's good that we're starting. The IBF is quickest on the trigger. I don't trust it. It doesn't pass the sniff test for me. This is boxing. I know this stuff works. You mentioned my fight when I was stripped. I was told I won the title against Provodnikov. My next fight, I was moving up to welterweight to challenge the WBO champion in Manny Pacquiao. I was WBO champion at 140. He was WBO champion at 147. I was offered that fight. Of course, I'm going to take that fight. But they said I could hold on to my title. A couple weeks before that match with Pacquiao, I get a letter that says, as soon as I step in the ring, I will be stripped of the title. Where did that come from? Why? What? No reason. Didn't have to explain anything. That's the way that these governing bodies work. And it's really disgusting because if you're really looking behind the nitty-gritty and details, there's always something that's going to tell you why this kind of things happen. I don't know, maybe the IBF is moving towards making the right decision, start stripping guys again. And if everybody took to that, like you said, making a standard, that'd be great. I don't trust it.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see what happens, especially that Warrington situation. I mentioned Eduardo Nunez in line for a title shot there. So IBF continues just to surprise and open our eyes to what they're doing in the world of boxing. By the way, look out for a big story from Eric Raskin on BoxingScene.com following all of this news on Thursday. Maybe get some clarification on that situation. And of course, we will continue the discussion here on Top Stories. We'd like to remind you to scan the QR code, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and download the ProBox TV app where apps are available. And part of the beauty of having the ProBox TV app is you can watch Wednesday Night Fights, the best live fight series in all of boxing. Next edition coming up October 9th here on your boxing channel. I'm George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
Wednesday Night Fights on ProBox TV. Evenly matched fights, 50-50. If you're looking for competitive matchups, every other Wednesday Night Fights on ProBox TV.
Join Chris, Paulie, and myself ringside every other Wednesday on ProBox TV.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel, ProBox TV.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 9th. Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.